This is the Platinum Podcast.
Welcome to the Platinum Podcast.
Why, thank you.
How refreshing is that English banter for you?
I'm feeling right at home in it. It's great.
There's nothing like a little bit of abuse to get the day started, right?
Yeah, I've got my green tea and my banter, and I'm ready.
You're Australian, so you can kind of fit in. Just about.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of an edge.
We know how to give it.
Just about. Not as good as us, admittedly.
I'll pay that.
Yeah, I think it's like English and Irish, they've got it up there.
Yeah.
Other than that, Australians come in a little bit after that, and then Americans are nowhere to be seen.
They're not even in the ballpark, really, let's be honest.
Oh, so welcome.
Sorry, any Americans watching.
Yeah, no, don't be. It's all right. It's all right. They know their sense of humour isn't that good. It's not their fault. We accept it. So I think I've got to start by working out what's happened to your leg. I mean, there's got to be a good story to that. You turn up on crutches, limping into the building. So I kind of need to work out what's going on there.
Okay. Well, yeah, this might set the tone for my personality as well. But I was up north in Lavina, which is beautiful, having a bit of downtime, and with some friends, we were like, let's go to this waterfall. And, you know, we'd heard my friends had jumped off this 10-meter waterfall like the week before. And I was like, I want to do that. And so we jumped off the 5. We're like, woo, that was fun. And then my partner first at the time jumped ahead. He's big 6'5", big guy, you know, and then he was fine. I was like, sweet, right? Let's overcome the fears.
So you let him go first, just to literally test the waters.
Yeah, literally. But that did not work. So yeah, I was like, okay, overcome fears coming into a new year. And I just jumped off and hit the bottom. Like went through the water, but I was so elegant and graceful in my pin drop.
Of course.
That I just went through the water, hit the bottom, broken leg.
So you elegantly smashed into the bottom of the river.
Yeah. So yeah, too elegant.
How bad?
Yeah, compound fracture, 2 broken bones, and then I had a stretcher and 6 Balinese men carrying me back up. I sang the whole way. That was my
Is that your medicine?
pain. That was my pain coping mechanism. So I just sang the whole way up, and then I had a titanium plate put in, and it's been a bit of a journey.
So you're now officially superhuman.
I am. You know that theme song, I Am Titanium?
Yeah.
That's my theme song.
That's what you were singing on the way up, or you already preempted it?
No, that is now my theme song.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, welcome to Bali.
Thanks. So, But I know what topic we're going to dive into around creating freedom. The fact that I had a business that could support me, income that I could pay for the top surgeon. Like there was a lot of factors around that where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm even more in love with this space and this, you know, what we're all about here, because if I didn't have that, I would have been screwed.
I think that's a real good starting point. I like the way you weave that in there. It's like, I may have smashed my leg to shit, but on the bright side, I can afford to get some titanium put in my leg.
Yeah, and the best freaking surgeon, and she's done a great job, and recoveries. I got told the other day, this is one of the best recoveries they've seen. I'm a bit of a high-performing healer. I was like, yeah, let's do that.
I've always had that feedback. Whenever I've injured myself, I've always taken real great pride. And the doctor said, you seem to be a few weeks ahead of where you should be. And I'm like, fucking yes, I am. That's what they
said to me too. And I was like, oh, great. Been doing all the things. Great.
That sounds like placebo to me. I think it's like, just believe it, manifest it, and now make it happen.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you've started it. You've opened up that topic already. Let's move on to it. How did you create this life of freedom? Where did you get the money for your titanium leg? Tell me all about it.
My titanium leg. I haven't been asked in that way before.
Okay, I was going to call you Sarah, but we're going to stick with Wolverine for today.
A female.
Okay, apologies.
Wolverine.
Apologies. We'll come up with a new name later.
Yeah. Well, do you want the shorter version or the longer version?
I want the long version. I want all the details.
All right. So first, when I became fascinated about this whole space, it's a bit typical. I don't know if it's a bit typical, but you may have read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek.
We all have.
We all have. So I literally came on a trip to Bali. I was in my one and only corporate job, which was in health, which I was always passionate about, but just never resonated with the whole be here at this time in this environment, follow these. It was just something that didn't fit. So I went on a trip, read this book to Bali. The first page of it is like, don't read this book unless you want to quit your job. read the book, went back, quit my job. And then I'm like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
I love it.
And I had no idea what I was doing. And I had this vision for some like health change program. So I was going to create this online platform. I had no idea what I was doing. And as a result, I was crap. And I was basically on the dole, like with these big visions and dreams and just no success.
Big entrepreneur dreams.
Yeah. And
I like it.
So after a while of being on the dole, it wasn't actually the dole. It was called a NICE program, which gives you a certain amount of money to start a business. And then I ended up just going back to work for a little bit whilst I figured out my dreams of how I was going to do this stuff. And then I was actually introduced to a network marketing company. So health, nutrition, I was really interested in the products for my health. But I got wind of the business and I was like, I didn't like it at first. I was like a bit skeptical and I was like, nah, I think I'm going to do it in a cooler way, my own thing. But when I actually looked at the systems in place and I looked at the actual core of what they were doing, helping people create change, helping people get healthier, helping people create freedom to live their purpose. So when I got my ego out the way of like, I'm going to do it this way and actually saw there's a system that's actually getting results here, I lent into that. And so I entered into this community, had mentoring, like probably not dissimilar to you guys, like there was some structures I could follow to get results. And in the couple of years, created the 6-figure and beyond like freedom lifestyle business. I moved to Bali. I had an incredible community that I built, got to be in leadership and speaking positions. And it was a lot of fun. Like we're doing trips around the world and incentive stuff. And I really loved it, except I was coming at it from this quite masculine approach. So I was like goals and achievement and like it was just a bit of a masculine approach. It was like my whole world. I was like obsessed with it. And so I did hit that good old burnout point that people hit when they
We all do.
We all do. And I also, this is more for the women out there, I didn't have my cycle for 5 years. And, I was right into like nutrition and cleansing and looking my fittest. And, it was all tied in that energy of, trying to be the best in health and And then, I just hit burnout when I was in Bali. And then I took some time off, which I thought was going to be a month. Lucky I had this full residual income coming in. So I was really well financially supported. But that went into a deep dive of like, why wasn't I getting my cycle and feminine embodiment and some of the work that I know you've lent into.
Definitely lent into some of that recently.
Yeah. So we've had similar teachers. And so I really delved into like, there was a lot of healing there around what is it to be a woman in the world. And like, so I ended up being 2 years off to like really just travel, explore, enjoy life, enjoy nature, enjoy having a 3-hour lunch, talking about nothing with no, take on the world, change the world kind of vibe. So that was a real healing period. And I got into coaching and, which I loved, but then I still had a lot of troubles with my health and hormones. It was 2000 before COVID happened, Healy, which I'll share about, but I was trying everything to really balance my hormones out and meditating, perfect eating, all these things. And then my friend knew I was at a point where I was in at a doctor's and they're giving me antidepressants and I'm like, that's not what I'm available for. And so I knew I needed something to really, for once and all, heal this hormonal thing I was working with, even though a lot of this stuff had supported. And this bioresonance device came in and I started working with it. It works with frequencies and kind of identifying the root cause of what's going on in any imbalances in your body. And I had like incredible health shifts with it. And then it was aligned with a network marketing company and I really was like, this is calling me and I'm passionate about this. But I had that, I don't want to go back into that way of doing business again. And so it was this incredible product that had fully transformed my health. I was passionate about it. I knew the business model I loved, But I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, it's in an entirely new way. And so I brought in these tools that I'd learned over the last couple of years of advanced intuition, women's embodiment, abundance mindset. And I was like, okay, let's create this and do it really well, but from a really balanced, healthy, feminine, masculine, having fun, doing really well with it, but not that being everything in life. And so, yeah, I've gone on to like move back to Bali. We've had, you know, the biggest financial months I've ever had, but it's just been fun. And there's been an organicness to it and a magic to it that I'm now really passionate about. Anyone in business, but particularly women, like how do we lead in a new way? How do we create abundance and freedom in a new way? And that's the longer version.
I like the longer version. It's great. I've got loads that I want to dig into here, and I'm going to have to do this very systematically, but I like that we've done a full circle. So we've started with the network marketing element, and obviously the product involved in this network marketing is Healy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think this is really interesting for a lot of our members specifically because
Yes.
we have a network of marketing components, Platinum University,
Yeah.
and they're really interested in leveraging it. And a lot of people, when they first get started with this type of business model, there's all the usual things. Oh, it's a pyramid scheme.
Yes,
oh, they don't want to
yes.
promote it and all these different things.
Yeah.
How did you overcome those initial hurdles when you got started?
Well, the first time I had to really work through that because, like I said, everything that it really was about was exactly what I wanted. Create community, create financial freedom, residual income, like that held me for years. I didn't have to do anything. And, you know, really creating tangible results and changing people's lives. But yeah, there was this ego piece of like, oh no, I don't want to do network marketing. And I actually spoke to a guy last night at a birthday about this. I had trauma around network marketing because I saw my parents do Amway when I was young, and like, you know, they're lovely people, invited friends around for dinner. Friends are thinking, oh yeah, we're just here for this nice dinner. Then halfway through they whip out the whiteboard and start drawing shit up, and like the friends would leave and then the parents would feel bad, and it was horrible. There was just such a gross feeling around it because I think we did see the earlier days of network marketing really done poorly and like manipulative and sleazy, and you know, you lose your friends and your family and everything, you know, it's scarcity mentality. So it was this at the beginning, this thing of like, I get this, I'm inspired by the people, there's incredible leaders, they're doing what I want to do, and there's this shit that I have around this industry and this preconceived idea. And so yeah, I had to like resolve those, not resolve, but like work on those belief systems. And I dabbled, but then when I actually made a decision, and I think with you guys would agree, like with anything, it's making a decision that this is what I want to do, I'm all in, and then I'll do the work to uncover those limiting beliefs, because as we know, we can believe anything we want to believe. And yeah, I just had to identify what were those beliefs holding me back and repattern those. And then as I do that, it became everything I wanted it to be and more.
Okay, interesting.
And then I took that into the second time round.
Yeah.
And then I had nothing really around it other than the way I'd done it. And from that, I don't get people in my space that, occasionally, but I'm so sure about what it can do for myself and others that, yeah, I don't care what people say anymore. And I'm passionate about redefining the industry as well, so it's cooler and it's got a better reputation.
I get it because it's such a fantastic business model if the product itself is good.
Yes,
that's the issue, isn't it? And this is what we always find. It's like you've got so many of those shitty vitamin products and overpriced things that are people. The issue becomes when they're making money out of referring the product rather than the product itself being of any benefit whatsoever.
Yes.
That's where the issue lies.
Yes.
And that's where it's got the dirty name from.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's kind of tainted every kind of MLM strategy there is. Damn them. Damn those fucking Juice Plus tablets and their fucking bullshit. And I hate it because it actually stands in the way of people actually achieving all these things they want to do with something they see as tainted.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about Healy and what it is and what it meant to you.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure on here you've interviewed a lot of people that have their like rock bottom moment. And like I said, with this hormone journey, even though I was doing things, it just over time wore me down to a place where sometimes 10 days to 2 weeks out of every month, I was like fatigued, in bed, anxious, depressed, and I really didn't want to be here anymore. And this is someone who is deep in personal development, deep in all the things. And so the fact I was trying so many things and nothing was working, I was getting quite hopeless. And so for me, the fact that this came, and like, this is where I feel like it fits in the wellness space, is so many people are looping in the wellness space. They're like, oh, this doctor, and I saw this Chinese medicine, and this person prescribed this diet. And, you know, like I've been in this space for 12 years, and personally I've looped, and I see so many people looping and giving their power away to like, oh, they said this and they said that. So what I experienced Healy did for myself is it scans and analyzes your body, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It's identifying and telling you what's out of balance. So, you know, you might think it's this, but it's actually this that's out of balance. So it's getting to the root cause, and then customizes or recommends a frequency program that helps bring you back into bioenergetic balance. So when we think of Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and all these people that are at the forefront of this idea of we can heal ourselves through vibration and changing our state, this actually supports that on a physical and tangible level that you can feel in your body. You feel the vibration and you feel your energy shifting. So two things, it's like bringing more self-awareness to what is actually happening in my body during the day. Like you can track that several times a day. And, you know, if job stress is coming up as your top thing, like for a week, it's like, hey, what am I doing in my job that's causing so much stress? So there's the self-awareness component that allows you to make behavior change and like, you know, be like, oh yeah, okay, this is telling me this is what's happening. So there's that, but then plus the actual energetic and vibrational shifts that are bringing you into bioenergetic balance. So we talk a lot about high frequency, but it's not this like dancing on the table, woo, high frequency. It's like a balanced system that's in regulation and alignment. And from that space, your creativity, your clarity, your whatever you want to do in life is coming from like a truer, balanced space.
Yeah. I'd like to just tap into that a little bit. So for people that aren't familiar with Joe Dispenza and the whole concept of vibrational frequency, can you talk a little bit more on that and explain what that is for people?
For sure. Well, I guess in its most basic form, like if we're even to look at more like humans, you know, we're a human, and then we're made up of organs, and of the organs we're made up of cells, which are molecules, which are atoms. And then we break it all the way down, and we're energy. And so the very foundation of what we are is energy. And that's a lot of what these teachers are now proving through science. I think there was this period, and you'll smile and know this, it's like, you know, it was a very woo-woo thing. It's like everything's energy and manifest your reality. And like, you know, people, it was a bit in the woo camp, you know. But now we're getting these incredible thought leaders that are bringing in the real science of like how this works on a very fundamental level of human existence. And so Healy is really, to me, the merging of that more spiritual awareness, but with science that is, you know, very accurate in what it's identifying. And then the merging of that is what I feel like Healy is doing. But if you haven't seen some of those guys, I would check them out, like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. There's a few others that are, you know, people are having really incredible healing through, you know, intention and you know, not outsourcing their power to other people.
Yeah, I second that. I highly recommend you go check these guys out.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend that people start listening to those little monks that have been sat in the caves for thousands of years. Yeah. It turns out they were fucking right all along. They knew what's up. Yeah. Science is catching up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like consciousness. And it's funny you say that, because the creator of Healy was a monk for 12 years. And then he became a quantum science absolute nerd in Europe. So he like heads up, I think, the quantum science, whatever those boards are.
Whatever those organisations are. Get him in here. Get him in here now. I want him on the Platinum Podcast.
Yeah,
if he can take a bit of time aside, if he can
Yeah.
take a little bit of time aside from running $1 billion company, I'm sure he can come and sit in and take some time to have a conversation with me.
And then you can really drill into the science for all the nerds out there.
Yeah, and I want to see some photo evidence of him in that cave.
Yeah.
Monk. I want to see that.
It's funny you said that though, because that was where he started.
That's always what I go back to though. I just feel like so I'm obviously deep in psychology, love the scientific approach because that's what people understand these days. I feel like there's two sides of it. There's like the hyper spiritual community who kind of intuitively know stuff, but that's really hard to get to everybody else.
Yes.
And then you've got the highly scientific people that unless there's facts and evidence will completely ignore any possibility of there being another way.
Yes.
And I'm kind of in the middle ground where I'm like, I try to be as open-minded as possible because I know there's stuff that hasn't been proven yet, but that doesn't mean it's not true. It just means it hasn't been shown yet with numbers.
Yes.
And that's the really interesting spot. And this is why I'm really interested to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Because you're very much at the forefront of normal business practices in the real world, which then also incorporates all this kind of spiritual element.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really is the sweet spot where you can really achieve amazing things in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's the sweet spot where you can really make the most impact in my mind because like you said, we inherently know a lot of things. And that's why I love Healy again, because even within ourselves, if we're really quite self-aware, we tend to know a bit of what's going on. But then to have something like an intuitive app that's confirming that, A, it helps you sharpen your own intuition. But B, it's like, I can't ignore that now. I kind of need, you know, you hear intuition, you're like, yeah, but really? But like, now you're like, okay, I need to. And it's making these things like Joe Dispenza, you know, like more tangible for people because they're having a sensation. They're noticing a shift in themselves, in their lives, in how they experience their own body and their own world. So they're like, you know, it's tangible. They can touch it, they can feel it. And then I think that helps them open up to like what else is possible.
Yeah, I think because that's the missing piece really, because we're so detached from our bodies nowadays.
Yes.
We live in a world where it's all external stimulation and we have to kind of, unless you put a lot of serious time into meditation, yoga, all these different practices, you probably have zero connection with your body whatsoever, aside from the really extreme versions of I'm in a lot of pain right now. Yes. I think I'm dying. You know, if it's not that extreme, you're just not aware of all these subtle changes going through your body, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like it's like fascinating what we're capable of. But then as we walk through the day, and this is what I've seen so much through this, like even things like quantum entanglement, I won't get too crazy here, but like sometimes the Healy, like this is quite a funny story. We picked up we were doing an event and we pulled up a person to demo on, and it was a guy. And, you know, it's really accurate. But the first thing he got, the highest thing was menopause. And we're like, this is awkward because you're clearly a man and menopause is coming up. And so we were like, oh, like Healy, like, are you wrong? Like, what's going on here?
Don't fuck with us here. You're making us look bad.
This is embarrassing. We've got a big audience. And as we inquired, like he was quite an empathetic guy, like creative type. And as we inquired further, we were like, does this resonate at all? Because we always put it back on the person. We're not going to tell them anything. We just said, this is what's come up on Healy. And he's like, no, like I'm a man. Like, and his wife chirps up and she's like, I was up all last night with hot flushes, couldn't sleep, had him awake all night because I had menopause and I had the symptoms of menopause. So what we're even seeing is how energetically connected we all are and how everything is influencing us all throughout our day. So even if we do our meditation and we're all our things, that massively helps. But we're so affected by what we see on social media and, you know, family members or people we spend time with is directly impacting our thoughts, our feelings. And that's why environment is one of the most important things for success. But yeah, it's to have something that helps us be aligned and aware of all the things that are impacting us day to day is pretty cool. Yeah,
that's really, really powerful. There's another shout out as well. Make sure you guys check out quantum entanglement. Dig into quantum physics just a little bit. Look at the wave experiment and look into quantum entanglement. It will completely change your perception of what you think reality is. When you sit here knocking on this table, you're like, is that even fucking there?
Yeah.
And it's science. You can't fuck with it.
Yeah, you can't. And it's crazy. Like, yeah, once you're aware of it, like you live with people and someone's like feeling funny and you're feeling funny and you're like, what's going on here? Are we quantum entangled? It's crazy.
Silly little things like you tell me you can't feel an atmosphere when you walk into a room. If someone's just had an argument in a room, you can walk into it and tangibly feel it. You can feel excitement. You can feel like high energy. These are things that you can feel.
Yeah.
But most people kind of disregard. They forget the fact that in a different context, you'll go, oh, that's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it is, but it's also science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So that's some really good insights about what Healy is all about and how it all works. So when you were putting together your team with Healy, what did it look like you climbing through the ranks of Healy, creating your own team, and then essentially getting to a point, so we're going down the more business perspective where you've created a team that works for you and creates a residual income? Yeah,
that's a cool question. So the first part of that was I had this thing and I was like, it started with that decision again. I'm always big on like, you make a decision and that's your decision. Because I hadn't really used it yet, but I could feel this like intuition of like, there's something really here for you. And I was excited by it. And I was excited by what I was feeling in my body. I was like lit up. I was like, I haven't felt like this in ages. So I was like, there's something to this. And then those negative things came in and I was like, oh, and then I made the decision. I was like, this feels true for me. I feel very excited. And then I cast a vision for what this could be. And I'd had a vision in my first business of like, like living in Bali, creating an incredible community of, you know, especially like female leaders, because women, I'm sure you know, but like, I think the stats when it comes to network marketing, probably affiliate marketing, is like 76% are women and 26% are men. I really think it's an incredible business model for women because it is very collaborative. It really allows them to be in their power of connecting and communicating and nurturing, and you know, you still need that masculine edge too. So yeah, I saw that could help really like me support female leaders to create whatever it is that they would love to create in their lives. And I also envisaged having a men's kind of movement too that do it in, you know, maybe we do it slightly different ways, but creating this really incredible community that is really thought leading at this time. It was just coming into COVID and everyone was going into like lockdown and fear and, you know, becoming disconnected, literally physically disconnected in their homes. And I saw at the exact same time we were launching Healy into Australia and then into Asia. And we created this it really started with a group. We called it now Evolve. And we were like, let's add massive value that is opposite to everything going on in the world. Let's do meditations, yoga classes, high vibe. Let's educate people about this tool that is Healy. And so we created a movement. That's another clue. It was like, it wasn't just like, I want to make this much money. It was like, let's create a movement that people want to be part of, that puts them in a higher frequency of, you know, we're all about frequency, that puts them in a higher frequency container. And as I started attracting leaders because they saw the vision. So we casted this vision. We saw the vision. We had like incredible people speaking in our summit, you know, like the Tyler Tolmans and quantum science experts. And, you know, all of a sudden we had this thing that everybody was so excited to be part of. And it was based on a product that people were having phenomenal results with. And so even, and this is another clue, like there was, like everything, there's the light and the dark of it. Like Healy did not expect it to blow up in the way that it did because people fell in love with this product. So their back end systems were not up to the level that the front end was selling.
Great problem to have though.
Great problem to have. And, you know, people were like annoyed because they'd have to wait longer. And so I'm not going to like paint the picture of it was all perfect, but because we had such a strong vision, such a strong community, and it was a blue ocean product, like there's nothing like that, we were attracting leaders that were like, we're willing to like work through some of the stuff because we're so invested in what we're creating here. And so I would say there's some of the things like making a decision, casting a vision for what it could be, and then engaging leaders that wanted to be part of this movement and this new era in health and healing and freedom. And so, yeah, I spoke to the vision, I attracted leaders, and like the money came from that, you know?
I love that, because it all seems to work the opposite way around. Everyone has this misconception. Well, I think so many people walk into business and entrepreneurship with this idea they want to make money first.
Yeah.
And they just think, sod everything else, let's just see how it goes. But
Yeah.
the irony is, when you actually have a vision, you have something that you care about.
Yes.
People flock to it.
They do.
And the money just comes, it's the consequence.
Yes.
Rather than the initial target.
Totally.
Right? And what you guys are pushing is very aligned with what Platinum University cares about. We care about people being able to do whatever the fuck they want to do with their lives.
Yes.
And be in a really good place. We want people to be happy,
Healthy,
fulfilled,
yeah.
healthy, with as much time and money and freedom to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about, right?
I love it.
That's what I want to do. That's what you want to do,
That's
right?
what I want to do.
I know.
Totally.
And it's beautiful because everyone can do it together. And
It
that's the beauty
is.
of an MLM if you're not selling Juice Plus bullshit vitamin tablets.
Totally. Absolutely.
I'm shitting all over Juice Plus on this one. I'm sorry. I'm giving it to you guys. Bad experiences in the past. I've just dealt with a couple of your shifty members before.
Yeah. And that is the thing. Like, again, if it wasn't this product, it would not have worked because people were getting orders delayed but like people loved this product. So they were committed, they were willing to move through the growing pains.
Yeah.
And I think, you need to be based in something that adds value and is also like, I keep talking about this like blue ocean because there's so many things out there that have been done to death. It's slightly different vitamin or mineral or cream. It's just boring. There's so much boring shit out there. So it's like, I wanted to be part of an advancement, of an evolution in this whole space.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think you moved on really nicely into what else you do, which you do very, very well, which is cast the vision.
Yes.
And you obviously have like a consultancy business as well.
Yes.
On businesses. Can you talk
Yes.
a little bit about what you do in that and how that looks?
Yeah. So in that downtime where I was like studying, exploring, I came across one of the best teachers in the world for intuition.
As you do.
And if you haven't read it, and I'm going to get this book for you, The Magician's Way.
Okay.
It's an incredible book that I was gifted. And then I was like, it just opened something in me. And it was how to do intuition in a non-fluffy way. Like it's the structural integrity to how we create what we love. And there's structural integrity to how to create what we don't want in our lives. And when we understand this structure, we realize success isn't personal, it is structural. And so what I loved, and as I studied with him, I really learnt mastery over this process of creating your own reality, but in a way that works. And so what was interesting, and this goes back into, we were talking about where people are coming from. So often when people start out in business, either people are ignoring what their calling is in life. There's totally dredging along, mundane, boring life. Then there's people that want to create something in their lives, but it's kind of coming from the wrong orientation. It's like, I need to prove myself. I need to make money so I'm lovable and successful. And we often see people, maybe even at the start of their journey, sometimes people are coming from that orientation. They might create success, but then they tend to lose it all because it's that space of like, and I could see the way I did that the first time. I need to prove myself. I need to, it tends to not be the true thing that it's about. And so that third level is, what would I love to create purely for the joy of creating it? And when we go into that space, that's the realm of intuition. That's the realm of genius. That's the realm of superconsciousness. So when you operate from that space, all the pieces start to fall in, like the product, the vehicle, the mentors, and so the money. So it's a different orientation to be coming from, and that's what intuition is working with. It's like, what is that thing that you would love that puts you in your highest creative frequency? And when you orient from that space, and there's more to it, obviously, the structures of how to acknowledge your current reality. So I'll give you very briefly, when you need to acknowledge your current reality of where you're at, or else it's like a GPS. You won't go anywhere unless you can tell the driver where to pick you up from. So that sometimes includes, I'm financially fucked, I'm depressed, my boyfriend just left me, I'm not worthy, I'm shit, really getting honest with where you're at. Because if you don't do that, you won't go anywhere. And the next step, which I think massively gets missed in personal development, don't try and fix that. Because everyone's like, oh, I've got to lose weight and make more money and did it. And that's still coming from the same place, really. It's still perpetuated. It's still coming from this lack, not good enough, space. So we say, acknowledge that and just accept it. Just get freaking honest with yourself and accept it. Then you can go into higher possibility. What is it I would love? And then what that does is create a tension, a creative structure that if you stay with this structure, your intuition is going to start to kick in, show you the people, the opportunities, the ideas, the resources, the podcast episodes you need to hear to bridge that gap from where you are to where you want to be.
Okay, so I've got a question.
Make sense?
It does make sense. So say I've got these limiting beliefs
Yes.
with regards to money, what I'm capable of, my intelligence, all these things.
Yes.
How do you, without solving these issues,
Yes.
do you bridge that gap from that space there to getting up here to where you want to be?
I hope you guys are enjoying this episode of the Platinum Podcast, brought to you by Platinum University, the real life school of mindset, online business and financial independence. Platinum University teaches you everything conventional education missed. We're helping thousands of people to create multiple passive income streams that create more money, time and freedom. We literally guide you through every step of the process with the help of our in-house experts and our powerful, like-minded community groups. To get 35% off your monthly subscription, permanently lock in the discounted price of $39.99 and get access to our mindset, forex, dropshipping, stocks, crypto, affiliate marketing and property content, visit platinumuniversity.co.uk/join.
So you still are going to have, you can still do the work on your belief systems for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can just acknowledge I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this. It's actually really good to have awareness of what those stories are that you tell yourself. And then if you go, okay, cool. I don't think I'm this, I'm that, I'm one I had a lot was I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity to be a leader. I don't have the capacity to, generate that much income. So I became aware of those beliefs. And then I went, okay, cool. What's my vision? My vision is me being a thought leader, creating a movement, interviewing the best in the world. Then I go into that space and I let that version of me dictate my next actions.
So you're almost visualizing yourself as this person rather than trying to solve it in its present form.
Yeah. So that saying, you can't solve a problem at the same level of thinking that created it?
I do indeed.
It's exactly that. It's rather than try and crawl out of this thing I'm in from here, I'm going to go into that end result as if it's done, as if I am that person, and then let that inform my next steps. And it might be get this coach. It might be, take on this business or, so it's not saying you're not going to get help and support in there, but that's where your intuition will guide you from, is a place of it's already done. And what does that version want to, almost like you coach yourself.
Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of flipping it upside down. So you know that you're in this point. You're not really trying to change it, but you're going to behave like you're in this point now.
Yes, exactly.
And then that gives you a different capacity.
Because this version of you is going to tell you to do a totally different set of actions from what this version is going to tell you to do.
Interesting. So I'd like to tap into the more scientific element of it for those, because I'll have some people all right, so how the fuck does that work then?
Yeah. Well, this is where I'm actually doing a course a free course.
Beautiful.
On the 27th and 28th.
Yeah.
It is more geared at women, but I also have something for men, which is a free 6-week course for men and women. But there is a real system that we go into in a lot more detail. So just car park that. Yeah. As you ask the next question.
We'll be getting that in. We'll be getting all your links out there.
Yeah.
Rest assured. So that's really interesting. I think, let's target this at women specifically. Because I've had so many men on this podcast recently, and I'm making a conscious effort. I need to get some powerful women like yourself in there, because we've got a massive female community. Yeah. And I know they would massively benefit from people like yourself. So let's talk about being a woman in business.
Yes.
What is that process like? Because I'm aware there's obviously some obstacles. It's a very masculine business world.
Yes.
In many ways.
Yes.
So what does it look like taking a female approach in business?
Well, it looks like this, for example, the reason, again, I really wanted to study intuition was because I wanted to be efficient with my energy. And I wanted to know that the things that I was doing were moving me forward rather than just like, you know, that hustle. I think that paradigm for women is just done. Like you see women burning out, again, men too, but I'll speak to the women burning out. Like as women as well, we naturally highly value like relationships and connection. And I personally, like I feel like we want a holistic version of success. And when I do the intuitive work with women, we step into that. It's not just what are your business goals. It's like, what are your relationship end results? What are your health end results? And so in order to have that balance and that holistic success, we want to be a balance of having structure and flow in the business. And I've actually created, this is what that 2 days event about, an 88-day blueprint. So it allows, I called it like the feminine abundance blueprint. So it allows women to set an end result, say each quarter, and intuitively set an end result. So not a mindy like, oh, I want to hit this goal or that. It's like intuitively, which is more like a heart, feels like that would feel incredible if that's what I did over this next few months. And then there's structures within that. So it's like, you know, time management of how to set your day up so you're in flow. So it's got that masculine element. But intentionally within that, you're having time to nourish yourself. You're having spaciousness so ideas can come in. I give intuitive structures so that you can really clearly know what next steps are in your business. Again, just so you can be efficient and powerful with your energy, but not giving it all away and being cooked. And then you can't serve in that. Like it's an old paradigm of like, yeah, you can't be of real service if you're not in a good balanced space yourself.
Yeah, you're no use to anyone if you're fucked, right?
No, exactly. It's
I love
especially
that.
if you're promoting a business or a brand, which a lot of these companies, you are part of your marketing. And if you're like bags under your eyes, 5 cups of coffee, you're like, yeah, you're just like, no one wants to follow that.
Do you want to be me?
Yeah. It's like you work 20 hours a day. That's not inspiring. I don't want to follow that pathway, you know?
Yeah, what I'm envisioning when you say that's quite interesting because you talk about using your energy economically.
Yes.
So let's consider that the business space is often very masculine and male. So there's a very male orientated approach. Let's say most people would take a 70% masculine approach with that 30% feminine.
Yeah.
I feel like what you're doing is taking 70% feminine and then 30% masculine.
Yes.
Because women are wired differently. Yes. Right? So you're playing to make sure that 70% is working based on the attributes that you have.
Yes. Yeah. And women using their superpowers, like intuition is one, emotional intelligence. So, you know, we can have compassion if someone's like needing something and then they're like, oh, this person actually gives a shit about me. They're not just trying to make $1. So there's a trust that's formed and then they're incredible guides, you know. And I work a lot with women to create their business in sync with their cycles as well. So it's like, don't like go out there when you're in that more ovulation phase where you're like vibrant and you're connecting and like you're the life of the party and everyone's like, who's this radiant person? And then when you're more like in that other part of the cycle, like go inward and hide and don't let anyone know. Like,
when you're in the fuck off stage of the cycle.
Yeah, but like take a few days completely out and rejuvenate and do what you need to do in that time so that so things like that of how to really work with being a woman within the context of business, to have like women in network marketing are some of the most successful. And I think it's like 80% of women in the States that earn over 100K a year in network marketing.
Jesus.
So these models are really supportive for women.
Yeah, and I think it's really powerful what you touched on there. I feel like business, especially here in Bali, obviously it's got a very feminine touch here.
Yeah,
you know,
it
it's
does.
very flowy kind of place. And I feel like the future of real business now, real impactful business, is having that approach, because it's all about connection. It's all about putting the benefit of the collective ahead of like selfish gain.
Yes.
And I think when you move into that space as a first priority, everything else just falls into place so beautifully.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like whenever my business is not flowing as much, I'll look at like you know, and we do view, again, women view things very holistically, and we want to create harmony. So I'll look at my business and I'll be like, why is it not flowing? Like, what are people not getting that they need? And then I'll create something. So like, that's why I created this 88-day blueprint. I saw that people didn't have like a good structure because the company hadn't created it yet. So I just created it. So you do view like, how do I move this collective in a way that really serves everybody? I think, again, women want to see, like, I don't know if you've heard about charities and things like that, that if you give money to women to start a business in, say, third world countries or something, and you empower them in that way, that is the most beneficial investment you can make, because they ripple it out to their whole community.
Yeah, it's just in their nature to nurture. Right?
Yeah, I'm
right?
not saying men don't do cool things too, but like, yeah, from that.
I mean, we do some fucked up shit as well.
No, but then I love, this is the balance. I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm a feminist, da, da, da.
I wouldn't have you on if you were. No, Joe, we can't be fucked with that.
No.
One thing I absolutely believe in equality and all the rest of it, but you have to recognise there are differences between men and women, and that's a brilliant thing.
It's a brilliant thing, and
It's
I
amazing.
see it working so well in our business, because even though there tends to be less men, they really hold this like consistent pillar. They're great with bringing in structures. They're great from that business side, and it's so needed. Like, it's actually what allows the women to be in their magic, is having those like masculine presence within that organization.
Yeah, that's kind of a realization I've come to with the work that I'm doing. I feel like the power of women needs to be contained by a strong masculine energy. We kind of give permission for women to act in their brilliance.
Totally.
But we need to be there and allow that to happen without fucking shit up in the meantime.
Yeah, totally. And that's like why we've lent into work we have, is because, I think we saw this, like, you know, there was that masculine dominating, women don't have rights kind of thing. Then it swung out to like this feminist movement, and, you know, we're going to like act like men and be fully independent. And then I think the men went, well, I've got to feel all my feelings now. And, you know, like, it was confusing, and it still is confusing, that space. But I feel like there's this real beautiful balance coming now where women can access their healthy masculine but sit in their more natural polarity, and men vice versa. They can feel their emotions and whatever, but they can also sit in their natural pole. And, you know, it's different for everybody, but I think we're finding like a real dance with that now, which is showing up in business as well.
Yeah, just for anyone that doesn't really understand the polarity between masculine and feminine, can you give like a real concise breakdown of what that is?
You haven't spoken about that on here yet?
I've had one person come on and speak about that, actually. It's come up. But
it's a really interesting topic. Well, I guess it's just like the yin and the yang, black and white, light and dark, like all these contrasts that we have in life. There's a magnetism that happens when, like, between masculine and feminine energy, and there's a creative, like, obviously there's like in the bedroom that happens when we're talking
hopefully
about,
otherwise it goes really wrong. It really does.
In relationships, that's what draws men and women together, is that polarity. And, you know, they're different qualities and gifts that really support each to blossom in another way. But likewise in business, when you can get masculine and feminine polarity happening, there can be really great creation in business projects and things like that. And I've got quite a few male friends where there's that connection there, but and it's awesome because we create together, but it's platonic. But it's just the dynamics of masculine and feminine.
Yeah, we took the move of hiring 3 really strong, powerful women as part of Platinum University.
Yeah.
And it's great. That kind of balance is huge.
And it's really needed at this time on the planet.
Yeah, totally. There's just certain stuff that we don't see.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
And there's certain stuff that we definitely don't see.
Yeah. And I also love that that allows you to take the holistic approach. If you're purely masculine, you're only going to see one side of the coin. Purely feminine, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think when you're you need a holistic approach, because business is, your business is very much like life in general. You need that balance. There's all these different elements to it. There's so many different moving parts.
Yeah.
And I think there is no other way than to take a holistic approach in business now, because otherwise, if you fully focus on one part of your business, the likelihood is you're going to neglect your health. or the other way around, you fully focus on your health, maybe your business is fucked.
Totally.
You know, you need to look at all of these moving parts, because eventually you'll get a reality check and you'll have no choice but to pay attention to one of these things.
Yeah.
If you neglect your health for too long, eventually you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to burn yourself out, and guess what, you've now had to take 3 months off or a year or however long to recover, and all that extra time that you spent grinding and working on your business, you've just lost.
Exactly.
You might as well just be happy and balance them all and try and keep all the balls in the air consistently.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, other people will argue me on this point and say, you've got to go all in on this and build massive momentum. And I do agree that different areas of life are going to have more focus at different times. But I just think it's not sustainable to push the edges on that over an extended period of time. And I do just think that isn't going to work moving forward.
I agree. I think there's definitely a time and a place to really push forward, and I say grind. I don't like that word because grind essentially means to turn something into dust, which is not really something I intend to do with myself.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is a place for like that real hard work.
Yes.
But I think the issue is when people aren't connected with their bodies and actually don't understand what they're feeling, they go past that edge and don't recognize it.
Yes.
There's so many warning signals that your body gives you before it finally puts you in hospital and kills you. Like
totally. And yeah, like again, when we're more connected, tapped into our intuition, like we can create more with less. Like when you haven't slept, when you've had 5 cups of coffee, when you're eating shit food to just get through, the quality of whatever you're creating is not going to be good. You know, like the people you're attracting, the quality of what you're producing, that's coming from an energy that's not great, you know. So I do think that there is time, especially in the launch of a business, where you may need to just have a bit more of that focus and that drive on one thing. But yeah, if it's not integrated in with the rest of your life, you'll end up resenting it, hating it, sabotaging it. So yeah, it's not sustainable.
I think that's some amazing advice. So what would be your best bit of advice for women specifically when they're starting up a new business right now? Perhaps they're members of Platinum University, they're just trying to dip their toes in all these different business models, there's network marketing, there's all these different elements. What would be your best advice for women in that position?
Great question. Well, it would definitely be, even before you choose the business model that feels aligned with you, I would be doing some work to get clear on your vision, because a lot of people enter business, even if they're passionate about something, they'll be like, I'm passionate about cats or fashion, so I'm going to start a fashion business. And it's like 90% of what you'll end up doing in that business has nothing to do with fashion. You will be finance, tax, you'll be marketing, sales, you know, especially in the early stages, you'll be doing everything. So, you know, that's what I found when I first started. I was like, I'm going to do business. I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. So first of all, I get clear on like, what's your bigger vision for your life? You know, the holistic aspect, the relationships, the home, the living environment, you know, what you were saying, like create freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, with who you want. So I always start with like your vision first. What inspires you? What would light you up if that was your reality? And then I kind of reverse engineer a little bit. And, you know, I also really get people to tap into their genius. Like, what are you so uniquely good at? What do you love to do? And it's almost a bit of, we've got this triangle we work with a lot as well of joy, profit, and value. So what actually really brings you joy to do in a service-orientated way? Does it add value, or can you align it in a way with something that adds value and makes profit? Because, you know, you hear people like, follow your joy, and then you're like, yeah, dancing's my joy. And it's like, I don't know how much people are going to pay you to watch you dance.
It depends who you are. Well, me personally, nobody's paying to see that. It's not a thing. Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it's that bigger vision, and then looking at your genius and what brings you joy. And then that was the same for me. Like, what do I love doing? I love working with women. I love traveling. I love being in Bali. I love eating beautiful food. Like, so I've created a brand around what I love, but I'm attached to I've aligned with a business model that fully aligns with what I believe: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. But it's adds a lot of value to people, and it's a really profitable business model. And so that's normally how I work. It's like reverse engineering And also like, yeah, who are people that have done what you've done, or like who are people that are living and embodying the kind of thing that you want to be doing? Because as I'm sure you would know, like having a mentor or someone who's gone a few steps ahead of you is a really quick way to up level into that reality, because they can show you this is kind of the route that I took. So there are a few things that pop to mind. There's probably a ton more, but
that's perfect. That's perfect. Well, you're one of those
ones.
people. For many women listening to this, you are one of those people. So if
Yeah.
they're listening to this right now, they're already taking one of those steps. Great.
Yeah.
And you've got something coming out, the blueprint that's coming out soon, which is all the rest of the advice.
Yes.
So
we dig in deeper.
tell me
there.
more. Tell me more. I think you're right. People want to know when, where. Plug it now.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
shamelessly plug it. Where can they find you? I think it's a great point to end on. I think you've given some insane value. So tell people where they can find you. Plug your course shamelessly. Where can you be found?
Well, we'll put links up to the website for the event. I'm on social media, so I've got an Instagram account, Sarah Blackah, we can drop in. I've got a Facebook that I can also plug in. And yeah, that's where I kind of share my journey. And, you know, behind the scenes, I'm putting up stories of the lifestyle that I'm living, because it's, you know, it's real. It's not like, you
are definitely here in Bali.
We are here in Bali.
Yeah.
We do day-to-day stuff. And you get to see a bit of what happens behind the scenes. And then in terms of this course, we'll also put up this 2 days. So the 2 day I'm really excited about. My favorite thing to do is to bring people together, to give them an experience of what I'm talking about. You know, like we can say all the things, but I love giving people an experience, because often within that it awakens something, or gives them the clarity, or gives them the next steps they need to take to bring their vision to life. And so in this 2 day experience, it's free, and I'll be offering so much value. Like a lot of this intuitive work, get clear on your vision, get clear on what your unique genius is. We go into even things like if you have a business or you want to start a business, how to market in a way that's very unique. Have you done human design at all?
No.
So that's a really cool body of work, but it's
educate me.
Basically,
educate me. I'm listening.
He's like, give me more.
We're not wrapping it up. Go on, give me a little bit
Okay.
more. I want some.
So human design is basically like, going back to this theory, we're all energy, frequency, and vibration. Human design is a body of work that helps you understand how you in particular utilize your energy to make decisions, and to what is it really about? Making decisions that are true for you, and how to best use your energy to serve a purpose that you have. And so there's so much more we can go into, but basically when you know your type, especially in regards to marketing and even sales, it helps you know how to write posts that are really magnetic, or how to sell in a way that, you know, for example, I'm what's called a projector. So this is perfect for me. An interview where you're asking me questions, I'm just in my zone of genius. I find this way of creating content, and I've got a podcast, way better than sitting there writing up a post and copy. It just doesn't flow for me. So it helps you identify like what's my best way to market and get my stuff out there. So we go into a whole section around that. What else do we touch on? Like we do some work around abundance, and some work around frequencies, like you'll get to experience. Like you can also do frequencies to a group. So we do cool stuff like that. But basically it's like a template that we help you work through to really get clear on like, what's my unique blueprint for creating abundance, and doing it in a way that aligns with that joy, profit, value.
So it sounds to me like almost like a personality test that you apply to these different areas of business and life.
Yeah.
Would that make sense?
There's some personality tests in there, and then there's some intuitive work in there. And again, starting with that vision of how do you get really clear, and then we work backwards, even down to like, what's my daily kind of flow like?
Yeah.
So when I do income producing activities, when do I have time out to like get my ideas? Like Richard Branson, you know, does a 3-hour walk every day that he calls like being time. And that's what he's like, I get my best ideas in that time. So like, yeah, how do we set our structure up, our daily flow? So yeah, we work through the blueprint.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's a lot of value.
It sounds it.
It's been like my life's work I'm condensing into a 2-day workshop for you.
Shit, my whole life into 2 days. That's power right there.
Not quite. There's
That's a
plenty
skill.
more of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So can you just spell your name for your Instagram so people can find you?
Yes, so it's Sarah, Sarah, Blackah, Blackah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll tell you more about human design because I think you'll like it.
I want to know
offline.
more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Thank you so much for coming on.
No, I've had a ball. I love what you guys are about. And I think, again, like that even ties in with what I'm saying is like, I love that you offer different business models for how, like the overarching vision and the movement. Again, you started with that. Lead with the why is creating freedom for people.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever the fuck they want, when they want, with who they want.
Love it.
And then you're giving people options of what's going to align with you as your vehicle. And that's what I really love, because when you try and, there's this cool saying just to end on, it's like if you, I can't even remember it now. What a good note to end on. I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it in the links. But it's basically like if people try, and I'm big on this too, try and just follow someone else's model for success, they can get really frustrated and start to think that they're shit and they're not worthy and they can't do this. But they're just not in their genius. They're trying to follow someone else's way. But when you get someone who's got that passion and desire, finding a model that utilizes their unique skills, they can just blow up, you know, and have huge success, but from just such a different place. So I think getting your unique genius in the right kind of business model, it's so fulfilling. For everyone involved.
We'll give you the fucking tools.
Yeah.
Find out what works for you. Make it happen. You're going to have to get that now. If you want to let it out the empty space. No. Thank you so much. It's been epic.
No, it was awesome. Thanks, guys.
This is the Platinum Podcast.